In today's society, it is typically the norm for people to pair success with an education with money, and success with money. We all choose to attend college for various reasons. Some may have wanted to continue their education to study a specific field, some wanted to major in a particular field because it makes a particular income and has a special importance and prestige in society, and some were forced to attend. Whatever the case may be, we are all here and are all going through different journeys to get one similar goal: to be successful. Although success may not be the prime reason we attend college, there is certainly a benefit by attending. By devoting years to studying a particular field, we become masters in these areas of studies. We limit our expertise to make us look more appealing when we apply for jobs. But is that what employers want? Do they just want us to specialize in one area and not be able to think outside the box and perform our job at hand? Or are employers looking for people who can think creatively and critically? How can people make themselves more qualified from the rest? Before we go on, let's define critical thinking. For Nicole Henderson, critical thinking is focused on the analytical examination of arguments, taking them apart and examining each piece to deeply question them. She is the director of the First Year Experience program and is in charge of running the inquiry courses, organizing student orientation, and advising sessions, all under the title of Associate Professor of English. She broke thinking down into 3 categories: reflective, creative, and critical. Reflective thinking is the beginning of the 3 because it's when a person starts to question things. It is needed to advance into other areas of thinking. Creative thinking is when a person begins to put pieces together in new and interesting ways and begins to examine those points. Not until a person gets to critical thinking do they begin to thoroughly examine and question what is being said. Caitlin, a freshman majoring in psychology, said that critical thinking is anything that makes you think outside of the box. She said that in order to form your own opinion, one has to apply knowledge from various other places. Everyone I interviewed agreed that critical thinking was a valuable skill. Answers people came up with were that it allowed you to connect and relate to what you're thinking about, and allowed you to also come up with new answers. Because we are free thinkers, it is essential that we utilize this capability. Matt, a graduate student studying public health, believes that without critical thinking, we would follow the path set out before us by others, without our own processes to discover what we think to be right. It seems as though we all tend to agree that critical thinking is an essential skill for success. But what really is success? What does the word truly mean? According to Nicole, success is when a person is intellectually and emotionally rewarded by what they are doing. Many people I interviewed felt that success meant happiness, stability, and enjoying life. In some ways, we all want to live a fulfilling life. Why else would we look to have high-paying jobs, start families, and leave behind some sort of legacy? Why else would we do what we do? No matter what your definition of success is, and no matter how well you think critically, your actions affect society. The way the public interprets information and uses their voice can have a positive or negative impact on how things run. For instance, we live in a democracy. We have the right to speak our minds and vote on significant issues. We control whom we elect to office, we control how our government runs, and what kind of programs they create based on what we think. If we have no say and are not informed, what good are we doing to society? If we don't use critical thinking, we lose what makes us great. We lose our sense of democracy because we are not capable of having our own opinions and making informed decisions. To live in a democracy, it is vital that we be free thinkers. Nicole agrees with this statement. She says that without the public utilizing critical thinking, our government becomes more like a dictatorship. We are told what to do, what to think, what is right, and what is wrong. We are fed information and are not using our minds to our greatest potential. Luckily, we have not reached that point. That brought up an interesting point, though, which was that critical thinking is not something she has to turn on or off. She uses it in all aspects of her life. We use critical thinking to make decisions. We look at both sides of an argument, the pros and the cons, to help us come to a conclusion. For some, it is not an issue of when to use critical thinking. The process comes naturally. Everyone I interviewed considered themselves in fact to be critical thinkers. This is what makes looking for employment so difficult. How can one really stray away from the pack to make themselves look more appealing to employers? Courtney, an undergraduate student studying art, said that in order to do this, a person needs to be more dynamic and have more qualities than the next. Going along off of what Nicole said, what employers really want are people who can think creatively and critically, rather than people who are trained to do one particular thing. Critical thinking skills are actually the key to success, for it is impossible for a person to be limited when they obtain such skills. Caitlin brought up a good point when she said that in order to stand out, a person needs to be able to organize their time, plan ahead, be honest, reliable, and show a passion for their work. These are all qualities that we admire in people, so people who are capable of doing such things are in a good position. Managers want to see people take initiative, step off the beaten path to solve an issue differently, be able to see things from new and different perspectives, and put new information and ideas onto the table. Last year, I read a book which changed my perspective on education reform. The book, entitled The Global Achievement Gap, was written by Tony Wagner, founder and co-director of the Change Leadership Group at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, high school teacher, K-8 principal, university professor in teacher education, and founding executive director of Educators for Social Responsibility. He is very much a man I admire for his passion for education. In The Global Achievement Gap, Wagner goes into the core of the American education system. Through his research, interviews with numerous students and professionals, and use of statistics, Wagner proves that some sort of reform needs to occur. He believes that in order for future students to be successful, the education system needs not to teach solely to the test and prepare students for standardized exams. Students need to be taught how to think divergently, conduct proper research, observe, analyze, and properly communicate with those around them. Everyone I interviewed said that people needed to be critical thinkers to be successful, even just be a productive member of society. Wagner proves that if we want people to earn a decent wage and vote and play an active role in society, they have to be critical thinkers. There is no exception. He goes on to say that schools need to focus on the 7 survival skills to help create active and productive members of society. I asked my interviewees why they thought that educators were putting such an impact on teaching critical thinking, and the replies I received were interesting. Tricia Regan, the assistant director at the Academic Advisement Center, believes that we are at a time where we understand the importance of the skill to be a member of society. We realize that it is imperative to be a critical thinker, not only to be successful, but to survive as well. Brendan, a freshman studying history, felt that students needed to become more opinionated and more worldly, and critical thinking helps that happen. Even if a student does not plan to attend college or have a job, it is an important life skill to be a critical thinker. In order to survive in the world we live in today, a person needs to be able to think creatively, analyze what is around them, have opinions, and stay informed with what is going on around them. Everyone I interviewed felt that it was necessary to be a critical thinker to be successful, but Nicole felt that critical thinking was not enough. She said that in order to truly be successful and to make the most out of life and of their knowledge, a person needs to be a reflective, creative, and critical thinker. It's important that we teach the future generations how to be critical thinkers. If we do this, we ensure their success as individuals and society as a whole. We all have the tools to be successful. It's up to us what paths we choose to take in life.